April 14th, Sunday. It's so hard to get some real good hobby news, isn't it? I want to share with you guys a couple stories that I've been following in Ziggy's Hobby News Daily. Chris Carlin was on Hobby Hotline yesterday. Really good conversation. Do you know who Chris is? I didn't. Chris is part of Collectors PSA. Gave some great insights. I'll talk about that in just a moment. JSA was on Sports Card Madness. I think I mentioned this before. I'm actually surprised now, weeks gone by, that no one else has. Like, why is that? There's some really great takeaways from that. I'm going to talk about that now in this video, and I'm going to leave you the links below this time. Kurt was on Sports Card Live last night. I'm going to be brutally honest right now. It's Sunday morning. I haven't had a chance to catch up on that, but I'm excited about that. And to me, that's really news relevant. PSA versus CSG. This is what I think no one's paying attention to. It's funny how everybody is talking about PSA and Fanatics, and they're getting credit for, Fanatics is giving Fanatics Live credit to PSA, and PSA is going to be at the Fanatics Fest. I don't understand why. Again, if we did some research, we got some real hobby news people, they'd figure this stuff out for us. Really interesting report. I want to give credit to this is an important thing. Let me get the photograph. Did you know the Major League Baseball Players Association made almost $100 million in 2023 from Fanatics/Tops? Almost $100 million. We'll get into that in a moment. And I'm going to wrap this up with lots of jealousy in the hobby news. I'm kind of playing on that today. I honestly love more hobby news. I just wish we did a better job of it. I wish we shared sources. I wish people would do things like follow up on a story. Remember the Panini break-in last year? What the hell ever happened with that? I wish they researched more too. Stop guessing and speculating and going, oh, well, I think the PSA is going to, I think Fanatics is going to buy a grading company. They're probably going to buy Beckett. Why are you doing that? And when you do speculate, we need your sources. Tell us who told you this? I'm tired of this. People, I'm a journalist now, and I'm not going to tell you my sources. Come on, dude. You're running a YouTube channel, and you're making shit up half the time is what I think. That's what's wrong with the hobby news. So that we're going to talk about today as well. Like, comment, subscribe as always. And again, I do appreciate you joining me on this special edition of Hobby Now, talking Hobby News Daily. I'm going to start with Hobby Hotline yesterday. What's this guy's name? Danny Black and Dr. Beckett were on with Chris Carlin. Danny Black runs a YouTube site channel, Hobby News Daily, which I find ironic. And Dr. Beckett, I think you know who he is. I did not know who Chris Carlin was when I tuned in. He is with Collectors Universe. You can find him on LinkedIn, by the way. Really great insights. I love these conversations with real hobby insiders. Some takeaways, and I don't want to just tell you everything in the story. I want you to go out and listen to Hobby Hotline, comment. I'm surprised even their title didn't even mention anything about Chris Carlin of PSA joins us. I mean, Danny, you're running a news organization there and you're not even marketing. A really good conversation there. So let's get to the conversation. One of the great takeaways was Chris discussing the whole Golden / PSA vault thing. We talked a lot about vaults. It was interesting. Even got Dr. Beckett's comments on vaults. I remember being on a conversation with Dr. Beckett about vaults years ago, and I think I referred to him or he referred to them, or we both agreed it's kind of like card prison because you send your card in there and sometimes they don't come out. And I think that was shortly after StarStock. StarStock's probably the biggest card prison I know about. There's a bunch of cards stuck in the StarStock card prison trying to get parole. By the way, I'm selling my cards at 10 cents a piece to get those guys bailed out. But some takeaways from that, Chris even mentioned that he's more of a collector, and Dr. Beckett about they do see that a good need for a trusted, credible vault. And eBay has a great name and reputation for selling, but not as much for vaulting, right? No one was really using the vault. Conversely, when you think PSA was already using a vault, had a vault idea. And here's another neat fact to tell you about. Both vaults are physically located in the same state. And from what I'm guessing, probably within a rock's throw of each other. It sounds like they're very close to each other, which is interesting. But again, going back to this is that I can see a day, right? One click. You buy a card raw on eBay. You send it off to PSA for grading. And then after it gets graded, you put it into a vault to either sell or save for later. There's a lot of ifs and, well, I don't know, I didn't see the cards, but I do understand how we can get to that place really quickly. And I'm talking like probably before the end of 2024. I mean, there's already capability, I think, when you get PSA cards to send them, they had to send to Golden. I always set mine shipped back to me, but I'm assuming you'll be able to send to the PSA, vault or whatever the vault might be, and then get them onto the marketplace as fast as possible. So really, really found that interesting. Here's another interesting takeaway that Chris made a comment about. He said when he has gotten more comfortable, as he says, to look at his cards on his phone, he can see the picture of them even though they're in a vault, which I find this very interesting because it sounds like a lot like an NFT, doesn't it? It's like, look at my card, it's shiny. I love that. But Chris said that when he's traveled, certain countries have a harder time accepting the concept of a vault. I want to say he said Canada. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, because I know a lot of Canadians out there who will know what I'm talking about here. But he said specifically in South Korea, because, and here's the reason, crime is so low. They're so safe. They don't understand why you'd want to hide your card in a vault. And I thought to myself, what does that say about the United States? Right here, we're so worried about, well, I live in a beautiful house. I might live in a house on the side of a golf course with 5 acres, but I don't trust my community and my house. So I probably have a gun in there too, but I have to get a vault. That's the kind of the paranoia of America. It's sad, man. Sad. Again, casual observation from a quasi, I'm calling myself amateur journalist today while listening on this great conversation. Another great takeaway from this, and there's a lot here, guys. They talk about, by the way, talk about Fanatics Fest. Chris makes a comment that they have known about Fanatics Fest for quite some time, that they're going to be doing grading. So apparently, I think you're going to be able to drop your cards at Fanatics Fest. They're going to go get them graded at their New Jersey facility and bring them back. I don't know if it's the same day or same weekend, but that's something, hey, no one knows. Anybody else talking about that? That's news related. So he also mentioned he was on site in DC picking up cards at the Caps game. So PSA is getting out to more locations to pick up cards. They want to talk to more people, get more information out there. But again, he said that, PSA and Fanatics are close partners. He doesn't, like, there's a lot of things they do. He also gave insights that you might see other, this was the first wave of Fanatics Fest sponsors and participants. There will be, this is according to Chris saying this in this video, there will be selected dealers there. It won't be open to all dealers. You can't just go sign up and be a dealer. But it's going to be interesting. I will tell you, I can't even compare Fanatics Fest, I haven't even been there, to a card show. Like, it's not a card show. I don't want it to be a card show. I want it to be a promotion show. I want to hear about stuff, hear about products coming down the line, meet players, get pictures. This is why I'm excited. And I'll tell you too, they discussed the price, a really great takeaway from Dr. Beckett. Dr. Beckett said, I guess Danny brought up, said, well, $500 seems like a lot for 3 days. And Dr. Beckett said, I'll give you 2 words, Mint Collective. They started at $1,000 and they discounted from there. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. I didn't go to that, but I'm going to assume the value you're going to get at Fanatics is going to be a lot more. I mean, I'll be honest. I am deciding how quickly do I buy my VIP badge. Do I buy it tomorrow? Do I wait until May? My challenge is I don't think it's even possible for me to be there 3 days. It's just not. Ideally, I might be able to get there Friday and Saturday, or I know I could definitely do a 1-day thing. I'm just trying to get the most bang for my buck out of it. But to me, I think it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be the first Fanatics Fest, so that in itself, there will be a lot of FOMOing, and I think that in itself will pay for the trip if you are able to walk out of there with some great exclusive stuff you could sell later on. And hey, that's one thing that I like to do. So surprised there wasn't more on that, but great tips on there. Again, going back to the last comment about Chris and Dr. Beckett said, we want to make sure if you're going to be vaulting, you should vault with a company that's going to be there for years. And I agree with you. At PSA, eBay, eBay's not in the vaulting anymore, but PSA, eBay, great names, and you're paying for the name, the brand. Take this as a complete shot and warning to Arena Club members. I'll just put it this way. If you're using Arena Club and you have a substantial amount of cards in that arena, in that portfolio, what is your exit strategy? Like, you plan to leave them up there forever? Like, that company, in my opinion, and I don't know, I did not research this, but just looking from the outside, the fact they're selling slab packs, the fact that they're giving money to some of the C&B influencers who will take money to say about anything. And you know who you are, C&B influencers, because you didn't research what the hell you're selling. Anyway, to me, I'd be very concerned with that. I learned my lesson at Star Stock. I would not want to have cards stuck at Arena Club. What do you think? Like your feedback, comments. Did you check out? Did you listen to Hobby Hotline? Did you know about this news? You know who Chris Carlin was? Was this beneficial to you? Did you learn anything from my discussion? I hope so. Like, comment, subscribe. Back in just a second, we're going to talk about JSA and Sports Card Madness. So about a week ago, and I should look this up. I'm just kind of winging this morning, but I listened to Sports Card Madness. I like the show. I've been critical. I'm a critical asshole. We'll talk about that in a moment. I'm very brutally honest, critical. And I love critical feedback as well, by the way. So I'm not like a give it and can't take it. Sports Card Madness had the guys on from JSA. Great story. One of the things they talked about, which I'm surprised, I've heard nobody talk about this since the week this has been out, is JSA and CGC expect to be doing slabbing soon, fast. It probably on the comic side first, like they're going to be able to go back to some of those comics and you'll be able to get them authenticated, which could increase major values for comic collectors. Could be big business for the comic world. People will be interested in that, getting comic book autographs on comics. It's a big deal for CGC in the comic world. But they also mentioned, and it sounds like it'll be this year, probably before the National, from what I remember from the conversation with the Spencer family, I think it was, right? JSA. They will be slabbing, authenticating cards by the National. Now, this is an interesting play. This is a very interesting play. And I'll tell you why that. In my opinion, what draws value of a card are a couple things. It's desire, it's scarcity, and unfortunately, the slab that it's in. And for a long time, the slab has put a premium with PSA because PSA has his name, this brand. I'm going to say right now, we're seeing the first steps, because here's what I think is going to happen. If I'm JSA/CGC, I go out there and I run a promotion to start slabbing and authenticating TTMs or in-person autographs, modern cards. It's an area that I don't think PSA does very well in. I don't think they can scale very well in it as well. And I think if you slab a bunch of really nice CGC cards with really great TTM autographs, right, that in itself, they're unique. They're like snowflakes. And I'm not going to call them one-to-ones, but they're more unique, right? The TDM autograph could be here, it could be there. Put those on the market. I think that's going to get collector value. Okay, let me be clear. I don't say go out and slab the Prism Silvers, and because JSA and CGC are together, that the values will go up. I don't believe that. But I do think autographed cards, and TDM specifically, get your TDM cards together and get those cards to CGC this summer. I'm assuming that this is my play. And I think you're going to make some money on CGC slabbed cards with autographs. I think that is really the play. I also think it really focuses that so many people are really, again, I don't know why we get this rumor mill. We make shit up. We talk narratives into our mind. Oh, Fanatics is going to buy a grading company. Fanatics is going to buy a grading company. Fanatics is going to buy a grading. I don't think Fanatics is. I don't care. If they do, I think it'd be a mistake for them to do that. I think they got enough stuff they're working on right now. They're going to be taking on a few more sports in the future. Why do they need to get into the grading arena space? But I do think we need to spend special attention to grading in the future when it comes to CGC and PSA. I think that's the real battle. That's the real front. And you will decide, I think in the next 3 years, whether you're grading with one or the other. I think Beckett is dead, irrelevant. I don't care what Beckett does. I have no interest in Beckett. I really don't. I just don't care. I mean, I realize the only thing nice about Beckett is the name. Dr. Beckett, here's to you. I will say Tag is an interesting one. I could see Fanatics buying Tag. The thing I don't see there is I don't think Tag wants to sell. I think you have to have a seller, and I don't think they want to sell. I think they're happy doing what they're doing. And I'll say this, and the last thing I've said before, on this note before, guys, there are a lot of companies who slab cards who are very happy at what they do. They're not trying to be number one. They're not trying to rule PSA or be the next best grading company in the world. They just have a business. Customers send them slabs, cards. They slab them up. They send them out. They make money, right? HGA is probably still making money. They're still. I don't know. I'm assuming they're profitable or close to profitable. I think if you're in that business, you're not running a high risk marketing business. You're not marketing campaign to win mind share from people. You're doing backdoor deals. Like slab 1,000 cards for repacker or something like that. So, I just think the slabbing world is the way it is. I think what we need to pay attention to are those two companies that are coming in the future. And I think, again, like I said, go check out the Sports Card Madness video on this because they do a really great conversation with the guys. Another fact that I found out there, I mean, and if this gets out, people educate themselves. JSA is really the core to autograph authentication. The gentleman there built the PSA DNA team. He's very familiar with Steve Grad and the Beckett team, right? So he even talked about this too, that in that community, there is some cooperation, right? Where they're not out to try to screw each other. In fact, I'll give you an example. If they found bad fakes, a really new counterfeiter that was out and they had exemplars of that, they're very likely to share that with the other authenticators. From what I got from that conversation, I'm speaking from what I took from that. It seems to me that they're not going to give you the entire database. I'll point it out because he talks about he has 1 million cards, 1 million autographs in his database. Not giving that away. That's their IP. But there's a conversation of again, if there's a bad actor out there, they want you to know about the bad actor too. They don't want, I get the point. This is my point. Beckett, PSA, they don't want each other authenticating bad autographs. Does that make sense? Like, comment, subscribe. Love your thoughts, feedback on that as well. Next, I'd like to talk about an interesting story that I heard. I only heard this story on one source that was let me get the autograph. Drew and it is a co-host. It was about the MLBA's PA report and how much money they pay to Fanatics, Topps, Panini. And I found this very interesting. I also found it interesting that no one else is talking about this. Like, to me, this is newsworthy, guys. Like, you should care about this stuff. And this is so 49 million. Again, the source is an ESPN article. This came from, let me get the autograph. I'll try to leave the source below. And I think it's important to tell you who you got the information from. You're reporting news, damn it. $49 million from Topps, $44 million from Fanatics, which is interesting to me, right? Two different companies making two different payments. I can only wonder why and how. And by the way, the revenue for the Players Association was around $67 million in 2014. 10 years later, Panini's, well, not Panini, Topps is almost doubling that. They're, almost $100 million. Next on the list after those two that were mentioned in the article was 28 million for some other, I want to say it was a memorabilia or authentication, or I can't remember. I don't want to misquote myself, so go check that out. But 10.2 million went to Panini. And I thought to myself, Panini spent $10.2 million to put out trash baseball cards last year? That was a terrible decision, Panini. Really, it is. Like, honestly, get out of the damn baseball card business. I don't know. I thought that was amazing. I want to do a quick shout out to let me get that autograph. Drew and his team there have put out some really, really good breaking news stories. They broke a story about some IMAC cards, O'Connell cards. He's also done a very good job, but when he does have a source, give his source when he can. Lots of jealousy in the hobby news. I was listening to Go GTS this week, and the guy afterwards made a comment, which I agree with. I forget the guy's name. I'm a big fan of him as well, Go GTS, and he basically looked at Rovell. You make all these high remarks. Let's see what happens when you start taking money from sponsors that are doing the bad things you say. I absolutely agree with that. First of all, I didn't like Rovell's comment in his Click report or whatever that, they're the watchdog. Dude, you're not a watchdog. First of all, you've already come out openly and said you're for cleaning cards and you're polishing them up, and Kurt's Card Care kept the shit out of it. Next, you'll be supporting repackers. So that concerns me. Just report the news. You do a good job of that. Here's what I like for in the news. And I talked about this in the intro. What is missing today in hobby news? And you know who you are, right? You weekly hobby, news update guys, you put out this stuff, or, you sports card, was it hobby news, daily reminders when you guess shit because you're too lazy to research stuff, guys? Come on. Follow up. I'd like some follow-ups. Did anybody know what happened to the Panini break-in story last year? What are the police doing down there? What was stolen? What's happening? Any information on that? No one is following that. I hope the Click guys or Click guys, where the hell, follow that up. Research, guys. Don't guess. Don't freaking guess. I'm going to say names. Danny Black, I've heard you and your team guess on the debut patch. Today, it was Chris Carlson explaining, there's a hologram on it. It was I think Adam the other day guessing how these things are taken off the cards. And I just, guys, if you're a news facility, don't freaking guess. Research, or say we're researching, we're looking into it. Or tell you, this is my editorial, my opinion. Remember back in the day where they had that editorials where you kind of cut the difference between news and bullshit? And I'll be honest, I'm editorial. I'm not real news, but I give you sources and I want you to learn and get smarter and be aware and make this fucking hobby better. Sources, tell us who. I'm tired of that covering up. Well, I have a source. Like, my favorite one is, well, I've known for a long time about Golden being sold. Well, great. Who told you? Or you just listen to the same junk donkeys who say, well, Golden's being sold and Golden's being sold. Because I don't know. It's annoying. It's annoying. And then the speculation. Again, I listen to another Neo. Speculate. Don't be in a news thing and then put your speculation hat on. You have some great resources. I will mention a quick comment. I sent Neo the JSA interview and said, hey, this is really interesting. I know he's a big comic guy. I thought he'd run with that. He never mentioned it at all. I don't know if he does. I don't know. I know he doesn't like me, but dude, that's good information you should be sharing with the comic community there. I was just blown away by that. But there is a lot of jealousy in the news bull crap stuff. I hope that we make the hobby better. I think we have to share more of this information. I'll tell you too, information is probably the most valuable thing in the hobby. Knowing what's going on, knowing when it's happening, and knowing what's dropping, knowing what's in the product, knowing what's in the list, knowing who signed, knowing where they're going to be. Knowledge is power. I hope this instance of my little hobby news update is helpful to you guys. Like I said, I'm going to be checking out that Kurt's card care thing later on. I do want to talk. Well, let me just close on this. Um, like I said before, I'm brutal. I'm raw. I'm honest. Maybe sometimes too honest. I pissed off a couple of friends last night who are other content creators, League of Our Own and Mr. Infuego in their after show. I'm just going to simply say this. It started off by them, and they do promote a lot of breakers, and that's fine. Do what you want to do on your channel. I'm fine with that. But Mr. Infuego makes a comment, well, I only break with these two guys. This is the only two guys I break with. It's this guy and this guy because I love him. He's so funny. And I said, well, I think you should break based on product and price, not persons. Because these people, you're building them up as being something they're not. The guy breaking the cards has no impact on the cards in the box. So you're going to send new people over to Donkey because Donkey's funny. So they can spend a lot of money, lose money, maybe get grifted on some auctions. There's something else going on. And I'm also going to say this really quickly, Mr. Infuego. Why are you recommending one or two specific breakers? Are you getting a kickback? Do you get any money from this? Are you getting a commercial advertising? Like, why even do that? And then you later rant that I'm not here for money. Well, again, I'm going to say bullshit, dude. You are here for money. There's some money that's going in your pocket with your 6,000 subscribers, your SeatGeek ticket thing. I mean, come the fuck on. Own it, dude. Step up, recognize who you are and what you're doing. I don't want to go too far into this. But what really bothered me is I made a comment, and I'll tell you this too. I am very much pro-regulation of breaking. I think breaking is gambling. I think the modern sports card hobby is gambling. I think gambling needs to have stricter regulations on it. I've said that. I'll say it again and again and again. I said that last night and upset some people over that. And I'll say this too. Remember, when you get your next haircut, the guy at the haircut has a license most of the time, unless you're going, your friends or your mom. But they're licensed haircuts. Okay. You have a license to sell real estate. There's licenses to sell alcohol. If you're a bartender, in some states you have to have a certification to serve people. There are a lot of reasons why we regulate and we control certain goods and services in the country. And if you need me to explain that about sports cards, I don't know what to say. But if you want to debate, talk, and you know who you are, John, I appreciate you, respect what you're doing, but dude, I'll leave it at that. Love the hobby. Make it better, not bigger.